In a clan society, in order for you to understand how it was designed to function, it's a small group. I would suggest always less than a few hundred people, maybe even less than that. And once they expand beyond that, a group splits off and goes off and lives somewhere else. Probably 20 miles is the distance that anyone would travel in a diameter out from the middle at any time in their lives. But here we're talking about thousands and thousands and thousands of years. See, we live in a mindset that doesn't quite grasp what thousands of years are all about. I can tell you, for example, that back at the time of Jesus, 2,000 years ago or so, and you can somewhat imagine how far away that is. But if I said to you that Neanderthals and human beings kind of came together and shared space in 60,000 BC, that's 30 times that length of time that we're thinking of. And that's a hell of a long time, and difficult for most modern people to grasp. They understand, however, how we have progressed so dramatically in the last 350 years, going through the development of an industrial age into a technological age that we have today, and the difference between those two periods. And yet modern people can't ask themselves the question, why is it that we are told by our educators that ancient man, prior to the Ice Age, was a caveman with absolutely no technological abilities? And yet we see things, if you get a chance to watch a very good series on television made by the BBC called Around the World in 80 Treasures by a guy called Cruikshank. Kind of fits in with the name Ruse, Cruise, Cruikshank, Ruse. He describes some of the ancient treasures found on Earth, some less ancient, modern as a matter of fact, and he travels the world in each program visiting 8 or 10 of these different sites. And one has to believe that although we're told that these what appear to be pretty dumb cavemen residing in their caves as the only thing they could do was feed themselves, even if they needed help to do that, it doesn't make sense to anyone that has a functioning brain. Reasoning, even without the intuition, would tell you that you don't build the pyramids unless you have some knowledge of hydraulics, for example. How do you lift those stones? How do you cut those stones? How do you move them? And going all the way back to the activities in Tibet, for example, and underground cities in Turkey and the rest of the Middle East suggests that there had to be someone with a little more knowledge than what we have seen develop since a time in the 1500s, for example, the Renaissance, which itself is a word meaning rebirth, that suggests that there were things happening before that have been basically put aside. And we were bumped back during a period called the Dark Ages, away from the knowledge we used to have. And now there's a rebirth that occurs in the 13th to 1600s. And most of it is simply a transfer of concepts, technology, out of the Far East through the adventures of Marco Polo, for example, and the explorers that go to China and Japan and India.